Right now, 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 right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto. Today, guys, we got a great show lined up for you because today we are going to be talking about Bitcoin. It is currently sitting in a very important pattern where if Bitcoin is able to break bullish out of this pattern, as it would be predicted to, then we should be expecting a major movement on Bitcoin as high as about $3,000. Now, the tricky thing is that we're sitting right now at $20,400, and even just over the last few minutes, Bitcoin has been moving to the downside in a major way. If you'll remember, to just kind of set the context for what we're going to be discussing today, FTX had a massive amount of shorts getting liquidated on it to the tune of $750 million last week. That was following Sam Bankman-Fried posting about some different policy and regulation that the cryptocurrency community could place on itself, which was, quite frankly, extremely unpopular. And then a couple days later, Bitcoin started moving to the upside in this massive way, and a lot of that came from short liquidations taking place on FTX. Well, on Friday, we saw another $300 million worth of short liquidations on FTX after the stream. So now, in the last week, we've seen over $1 billion worth of shorts getting liquidated on one exchange that led Bitcoin into a massive rally. So the question that we have to ask ourselves right now is, can Bitcoin follow through with this bullish momentum that doesn't seem to be all that organic, but maybe is having more to do with a lot of short positions getting liquidated over on FTX? Can it continue moving to the upside in keeping with an ascending triangle pattern on its hourly chart? Or when the Federal Reserve comes out here in 2 days with 75 basis points, which is most likely, then is Bitcoin going to have a major capitulation and we're going to Bart Simpson right back down? Either way, I don't think we're at a very stable position in Bitcoin right now. I think we are going to see a major movement over the next couple of days, and I think that major movement has a decent chance of being to the downside despite predictions of it moving to the upside based on chart formations. We're going to look at all of that all-encompassing today, and we're also going to be discussing how yet another miner could be on the verge of insolvency and potentially even bankruptcy. Yes, I know. We talked about Core Scientific last week, and it looks like there might be another one called Argo Blockchain that we'll be discussing today. Some financing fell through, and their stock did too. See what I did there? They dropped 72% in a day. We're going to look at them here in a little while. But first, we have to see who was first. We have a lot of green names in chat today. Wow, and a lot of chat to go through as well. Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We did. My son and my wife and I, we went trunk-or-treating at a church, and it was a whole lot of fun. Sarah's in the room. She had a great time. And pretty much, we had our son dress up like a dinosaur, and he's like 2, so he just turned 2, right? And he's going around going, "Roar!" to everybody. It was the most adorable thing in the world, and Sarah and I dressed up in Baby Yoda onesies, and we rocked it. We had a whole family dress up, and we're going to go trick-or-treating again today, so that's going to be fun. Trunk-or-treating, or I don't know. We're doing something. It's going to be fun. We're going to dress up again. That thing is way too small for me. It's really constricting. Anyway, very interesting. Happy Halloween for everybody who celebrates it. And also, happy Reformation Day for everybody who celebrates that. Let's go ahead and read some chat, and then we're going to jump right on into some technical analysis to kick off the week, as we like to do TA on this channel. If you are new to this channel, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the post notification bell, because we go live 5 days a week, bringing you high-quality informational and educational content around cryptocurrency markets so that you can be informed on technical, on-chain, and fundamental factors in this industry. Grand Roofing Incorporated was first. He said, "Good morning, everyone. Grand for the first in." Boom. Shout out to you, Grand Roofing Incorporated. Stay safe up there, my friend. Michael Lowry also in chat. Crypto Ben Franklin, Crypto Smitty, Gia S. Mike Lowry said, "Looks like I beat you today, my friend." Mike Lowry on my screen, my friend. And I'll go ahead and show you on my screen. Looks like Grand actually won. So It was close. Depending on who's looking at it, it could be that one chat shows up more. But on my screen, it looks like Grand Roofing got it today. So shout out to him. I have the Beholder said, what up? What's up, my friend? We got Justin Eubanks in chat. Mike Lowry again. Matt C., good morning, fam, is what he said. Good morning back to you, fam. Grand Roofing said, hey, Jebb. Got a bunch of other people in chat. Crypto Smitty had said, have a spooky day. Have a spooky day, guys. Martine Siebels said, hello, all. Hello, my friend. I always like pronouncing your name. I always feel like I'm making a mistake when I pronounce it without the J, because the J is silent. That's kind of like in Spanish. My name in Spanish is Jebb instead of Jebb. I'm probably butchering that, but that's what I'm told. Brad Geidel also in chat. Shout out to Brad. Good to see you. Thomas Post in chat. Okay, we got a lot of green names. A lot of people turning out today. Shadrach Frost in chat. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? Thomas Post. Got him. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Christopher McFarland. Don't want to miss Christopher. We also got Just Ray. What's up, Just Ray? Matt C. Veronica Gainey in chat. I think we got everybody. Shout out to everybody else who is in chat. Also, if you guys don't know how to get a green name, check out that join button right below the stream. You can join as a member and help to support the channel, and you will get a green name, and you will get a shout out at the beginning of every single stream. We also got Why You Loud in chat. I don't know. I mean, I can turn myself way down like this if you want, but I think I could just leave my volume right here so that you could hear me. That's why. I mean, there's no other way for you to hear me from thousands of miles away rather than me just being very loud so that you can hear me around the world. That's how the internet works, right? Right? No, that's not how it works. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap because some things have taken place and transpired over the weekend. Right now, Bitcoin trading at $20,386. And as I said, just in the last few minutes since the stream kicked off, we have seen Bitcoin going through a pretty major correction. It was sitting at $20,700, dropped $420 in 20 minutes, dropped 2% in 20 minutes. So let's just back up here. Remember, Bitcoin had a big breakout to the upside that technically broke a strong downtrending level of resistance last week. That was, as far as I can tell, maybe not not necessarily a manipulated movement in the way that people normally describe it as, but a movement that potentially didn't have all of the right backing to really support it in the way that it should have taken place. And so we kind of jumped to the upside in a way that we really shouldn't have, and we didn't have the support to continue that movement to the upside. If I just show you on the chart here, you can see that Bitcoin had a pretty big jump. I mean, we had this downtrending level of resistance, and this downtrend right here, it was right there. We broke through it to the upside. Let me go ahead and turn off Bollinger Bands and turn off Lux Algo for just a second. We'll bring those back in a minute. But we broke through this downtrending level of resistance, which was, wonderful. But the thing is that on the auto chart, we're still actually under this longer and more powerful downtrending level of resistance that we've actually been talking about on the channel for over a year. We actually used this downtrend right here to call this bottom, as far as find that as a level of support back here in January of this year. So that downtrend is actually far more important, and Bitcoin, while it tried to get above it, is currently kind of failing. Now, on the bullish argument, you could say that, yes, we're going into a symmetrical triangle pattern. We're going to talk about that here in a little, an ascending triangle pattern, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But ultimately, why did Bitcoin move to the upside here this quickly? Well, if we look at Bitcoin liquidations over here, you can see that we had $700 million worth of shorts get liquidated on the 24th. And then the next day on the 25th, we had another $600 million. FTX liquidated $1 billion. I've been saying $750 million. That actually isn't accurate. It's $1 billion worth of liquidations took place. I think I saw this at $250 million on the 25th, and the day hadn't closed yet, but it ended up being $500 million. We ended up having almost exactly the same amount of short liquidations take place on both of those exchanges day after day, and none of the other exchanges even came close. I mean, the closest that any other exchange got was OKX. If anybody knows why we had $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion worth of short liquidations, and over $1 billion of it was just on FTX, let me know. But then again, you also jump forward here to the 28th, which was, if I remember correctly, that was Friday. This was a little bit after the stream, I think all of this started happening. We saw another $341 million worth of short liquidations happen on FTX. So my question to you is, did Bitcoin break to the upside because it had a fundamental reason to, or it had a technical argument to, or did it break to the upside because a bunch of short traders over on FTX got wrecked? I would say the latter. I didn't see a lot of strong reasoning for Bitcoin to break to the upside here, considering the downtrends that it had been under, considering the resistance that it had been under, considering the looming FOMC meeting. Don't forget, guys, the FOMC meets in 2 days. And Bitcoin is going to have to contend with the FUD that's going to come from that 75 basis point rate hike. So anyway, I jumped a little bit into the content. We were actually going over CoinMarketCap, but I just want you to ask that question for yourself. Why did Bitcoin jump 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% in the span of a day? Was it based on strong technicals and fundamentals, or was it based on a short squeeze that may end up triggering a long squeeze, which could actually lead Bitcoin to dropping lower than where it started? That would be my question for the viewer. Moving on here, though, it has had a very bullish impact on some other cryptocurrencies that had dropped even more than Bitcoin. You can see Ether is sitting right here at 1567. Love to see that. Ethereum has been maintaining this uptrend a lot better than Bitcoin. You can see the difference here. Ethereum's trend lines that's established as market structure over the last little while, sitting like this. We have a very strong, powerful uptrend here. Whereas on Bitcoin, we've got this ascending triangle pattern forming here. Which the ascending triangle pattern, that's great. That is a bullish chart formation. The tricky thing is we're like breaking out of it to the downside right now, which is actually, it's funny because when I was setting up this stream, I was thinking, okay, well, it's predicting a movement to the upside, but I think it's actually going to end up breaking to the downside, and it looks like that may end up actually happening while we're live here. So just keep an eye on your charts while we're going here. However, on Ethereum, while we're also seeing a drop on Ether, Ethereum has managed to go through quite a bit more uptrend. It started this movement back when Bitcoin did at 1347, rallied 23%, whereas Bitcoin here only rallied about 9%. So Ethereum obviously is set up in a much more exuberant manner. That gives me actually a lot more confidence on Ethereum's price action right now than Bitcoin's. And a big part of the reason for that is because, well, okay, it managed to find the strength to rally 23%, whereas Bitcoin only rallied 9%. You know, Ethereum did end up dropping finally 82% down from all-time high. A lot of the altcoins did as well, whereas Bitcoin only dropped 74%. So Ethereum did actually have much more of a flush out than Bitcoin ever did, and that led to Ethereum having a bigger movement to the upside. It rallied 119%. Bitcoin never did that. Bitcoin is sitting, at least not in this trend. Bitcoin rallied 41%. So Bitcoin's really being held down a lot. Ethereum had a really Ethereum 2.0. The merge went really, really well. So that's been very bullish for Ether. And then you can also here, let's just go ahead and, oh, this is painful, remove 28 drawings. And you can see that Ethereum is actually also setting up a symmetrical triangle pattern right now, which in theory that could be a bad thing because it's starting with the market moving to the downside, so it's theoretically a bearish continuation, a bearish pennant. But I'm feeling okay on Ether. We're going to come back to it here in a little while. As far as Binance is concerned, Binance, despite having 2 million coins created out of thin air earlier this month, it's still doing very well, and that speaks to a couple of different things. First of all, what happened with that? If you don't remember, a guy basically minted 2 million Binance and ran off with like $5 billion worth of value. It was ridiculous. Not 5 billion, 500 million, whatever it was. Minted, just created 2 million Binance out of thin air. Wow. And somehow the Binance community is still trucking right along, feeling great about itself, doing amazing, despite there being that kind of massive exploit that took place. Binance, one, apparently needs to go back through all of its code and make sure there's no loopholes that allow something like that to happen. But two, apparently they've got a very devout following, which we know to be true. We know how Binance is. We know people love Binance in the space. But gee whiz, wow, that they're not kidding. Binance is still up, despite all the bad news, 6% on the day, 20% on the week. If we look here at BNB, and we're just kind of doing a market rundown to make sure we know what's going on this week to lay a foundation. You can see even while Bitcoin and Ethereum are dropping big time today, as far as dropping, not big time, but, you know, Ethereum is down, for example, right here, 3% in 30 minutes, 4% in 30 minutes. Bitcoin down here about 2% in 30 minutes. Binance token, on the other hand, Binance coin, on the other hand, is sitting up substantially, and it has corrected a little bit, but it hit a local high before it did. It's been rallying a massive amount. The one thing to keep in mind about Binance is it only dropped 74%. I say only, but it didn't drop to 81, 82% like Ethereum did. It only dropped down to 74% like Bitcoin did, and it bounced harder than Bitcoin, rallying 83% off of its original bounce back in June. Whereas Bitcoin, if you'll remember, did not bounce 83%, it bounced 40%. So Binance has been doing very, very well for itself, and a lot of that has to do with the strength of the exchange despite the downturn. Even in just the last 10 days, you can see that it's rallied 27%, and this movement that started on Bitcoin and Ethereum actually only started 6 days ago, so Binance already had something going for it. And then we had this massive short liquidation. Looks like CoinGlass just had a glitch going on with it. Binance coin was already moving to the upside in a major way, and then we had these liquidations come in, which the data is loading here. But we had $1.3 billion worth of liquidations, $1.5 billion worth of liquidations come in, move the whole market, and Binance was able to profit off of that big time. So just very interesting what's going on with it. Binance is also sitting right here below a massive, massive, massive zone of resistance. And if it's able to break through this zone, just giving you this, just drawing a rectangle right here for the zone of resistance. If it's able to break through this, Binance could very well be off to the races. The tricky thing is, will it actually, if Bitcoin and Ethereum are going through a correction right now and we're going to see a bearish FOMC meeting come in the next 2 days, which will put a massive damper on things? I don't know. But if you were a Binance trader, especially if you're a Binance investor, this zone between 336 and 358, you need to watch very closely because of all of these touches that we've seen back throughout all of these times. We're just doing some very basic price action technical analysis for anybody who just tuned in. We're going to jump into some indicators later, and we also have to talk about this miner. Golly, this is just, I am an entrepreneur. When I see something like this, like a mining facility being built, and I see new roads coming in and construction going on, I am happy. I like seeing this. The tricky thing is when you see something like this and you see a new industry being built, and then you read that their share price just tumbled 72%. That's the concern. So we're going to talk about Argo's blockchains here in a little bit. But for right now, we're going to keep moving here with some of our market recap and technical analysis. By the way, if you guys are just tuning in for the first time, my name is Crypto Jebb. We go live at 10 a.m. Eastern every single weekday to bring you the latest in cryptocurrency, technical on-chain, and fundamental analysis so that you can be informed on crypto markets, so that you can build for yourself something that I call financial sovereignty, which is basically you having control over your money rather than your money having control over you. I don't want you to live as a servant to your money. Your money is supposed to serve you, and that's what we're trying to help you learn how to do through cryptocurrencies here at this channel. So make sure to subscribe if you have not already. I'm going to read chat for just a second, and then I'm going to go ahead and move on here. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Let's give some more shout outs here. Jay Fellas said dumping alert. Yeah, Bitcoin is definitely moving. It is down on the day. It looks like it's down about 3%. Excuse me, about 1.53%. Is about $300 is where the 3 came from in that. Let's see what else here. Today my daughters turn 21 for what it's worth. Well, happy birthday to them. That's so cool. That's so cool. Mike Lowry said, dang, my screen shows me first. Sorry, Mike. Got to be a little faster on the draw next time. All right. Good morning, crypto ghouls and goblins. Crypto mini bike in chat. Shout out to you, my friend. When people's in chat, also shout out. The classic IT guys, shout out. They said 80% of FTX users are larger whales with an average account of 200,000, so maybe that's why there was so much liquidated. Yeah, seems like whoever was in a short trade, people got wrecked. People got messed up over on FTX recently. Powell's tone at the press conference will make all the difference. Yes, it will. We're going to have to keep an eye on what Powell says and how he says it. 75 basis points is like 95% of this point. Agreed. How Jerome talks will make or break the market. Yeah, absolutely. That's what you're going to have to keep an eye on here. Let's continue reading here. CZ helped Elon with a bit of cash for Twitter purchase. Binance also has Mask Network, which is kind of like a bridge between Twitter and Binance. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, Changpeng Zhao came out, and he's the CEO and founder of Binance, has come out and talked about how he would very much support Elon after purchasing Twitter. If you guys don't know, some more updates have come out about the purchase of Twitter and what's going on over there. Yeezy's account got reinstated. Apparently that was taking place before Elon bought Twitter, but he's back on Twitter now, so that's interesting. We also have the executives, as I talked about on Friday. Executives got fired, laid off, and Elon otherwise is just trucking right along. We also have, here's another piece of news. Let me pull up a story for this. I wanted to talk to you guys about this as well, because if you guys don't know, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what's going on, Elon Musk, richest man on the planet, just bought Twitter. He didn't buy Twitter shit. Like, he bought the whole company. As far as he's got investors that are helping him fundraise that he owes money to, but he bought Twitter and is taking it private. Like, I think by the end of this week, Twitter is going to be off the stock exchange. I forget when it is, but piece of news that came out over the weekend that you might find interesting, because if you don't remember, or if I haven't said this, I believe the number is 92% of Twitter's revenue comes from advertising. That's why Elon, when he took over Twitter, put out that statement to advertisers saying that he doesn't want Twitter to turn into a, quote, free-for-all hellscape, were the words that he used. Well, some people are not too thrilled by the fact that he's taken over Twitter, some of those people being extremely powerful. One of those companies, not just individuals, there's a lot of individuals leaving Twitter, but one of those companies is none other than General Motors, GM, temporarily suspends advertising on Twitter following Elon Musk takeover. GM is suspending its advertising on Twitter following Elon Musk's takeover the social media platform, the company told CNBC on Friday. The Detroit automaker, a rival, and this is an important part, a rival to Musk-led electric vehicle maker Tesla, said it is pausing advertising as it evaluates Twitter's new direction. It will continue to use the platform to interact with customers, but not to pay for advertising. Remember, guys, there's some politics going on. There's some corporate politics going on here. GM pledged to not make any more internal combustion engine vehicles by 2035. So they've got 13 years left of basically 12 years left of building ICE, internal combustion engine vehicles, before they're going all electric, which can either make or break the company. I mean, GM has been getting, beat by Toyota for a very long time. They've been getting beat by Tesla now for a while, especially in their different electric vehicle lines. But there's a massive war going on for the future of EVs because Elon Musk started it. He didn't start it, but Tesla getting big and creating vehicles, the Model S, the Model X, the Model 3, all of those different vehicles, Model Y, all those different vehicles that came out and they started producing in droves, they are serving as a huge competitor to every single other automaker. Elon Musk got his name on the map by giving the entire automotive and oil industry a run for their money at once. And now GM realizes, wait a minute, this dude completely changed the direction and future of the industry. If we don't keep up with the times that now he is setting, then we're going to get left behind and we're going to get annihilated. And GM realizes that if they don't win, or at least if they're not able to, in a very strong way, compete in the electric vehicle game, they go bankrupt for the 13th time. I'm exaggerating, but if anybody remembers what happened in 2008 in the bailouts, you'll get the joke. The point is, GM has a lot more to say, or is doing a lot more rather than just pulling out of Twitter because they don't know whether or not somebody's going to say something that they shouldn't. They're pulling out of Twitter and pausing because they want to hurt Elon Musk, and because Elon Musk essentially is Tesla, they can compete with Tesla by competing with Twitter. And so keep in mind, a lot of automakers over the next little while might pull out of Twitter simply because they are in direct competition with Elon Musk's other venture, Tesla. That being said, for all of the people who love Tesla, whether they own a Tesla or not, you're probably going to see a lot more people flocking to Twitter on the consumer side of things because they love Elon Musk and they love Tesla. So it's going to end up building the brand, but also opening up the divide between fossil fuel powered vehicles and electric vehicle manufacturers, while also making it even more difficult for Twitter to remain solvent and make sure that it's able to generate enough revenue to cover its cost, considering it's going to be losing advertisers. So just something to keep in mind here as we go through the next couple of months. Definitely something that we want to keep our eye on. Going to go ahead and read some more chat. Someone said Twitter was already delisted. I didn't actually know what day it got delisted. Let's see. Here, actually, this is the article I was reading over on TechCrunch. The New York Stock Exchange hereby notifies opening business. Let's see. I have an article right here. Wholly owned. Oh, wow, you're right. I'm sorry. I misspoke. The exchange also notifies the Securities and Exchange Commission that as a result of the above indicated condition, this security was suspended from trading before market open October 28, 2022. They took it down immediately. I mean, that makes sense. Interesting. Yeah, drop a 1 in chat if you were a Twitter holder and you ended up getting cashed out of your position in Twitter for that. Yeah, Twitter was taken private. I thought it would stay. I don't know why I thought that, but no, that obviously, duh. That's kind of a duh moment. Sorry. It got taken down. It wasn't even listed on that day. Let's see what the chart of Twitter looks like, because obviously it won't be printing more candles. Twitter. I don't even know if you can find I don't even know if you'd be able to find the chart anymore. Let's see. Maybe. I'm not sure what the TWTR was always the ticker. BMW, BMB, Twitter. Huh. Interesting. Well, I can't find the chart very easily, so we'll leave it at that for right now. But yep, Twitter was taken private. at $54.20 a share. Let's see. Nuclear industry subsidies in EV. Yeah, that makes sense. How could one be invested in Twitter as a long-term strategy? Well, be Elon Musk. I guess that's how you invest in Twitter as a long-term strategy. All right, we're going to read chat here for a second, and then we're going to jump back into it because I want to talk about the FOMC a little bit before we jump into some more TA. Let's see. Oh, we got a donation. Javier Gastilium donated $5. Said, "What do you think about Dogelon Mars, Elon? Are you talking about Dogecoin, or are you talking, or is that like an actual crypto?" It is an actual crypto, and its ticker symbol is Elon. Interesting. Well, I haven't ever looked into it. To be honest with you, these fan tokens have some value in that they follow the public sentiment and the public adoration for a certain public figure, such as Elon Musk. The tricky thing is, what happens if that figure falls out of grace and you have, let's say, for example, you had let's just pull a name out of a hat that I have absolutely no relation to any kind of news going on. Kanye West. Let's say Kanye West had a cryptocurrency and something were to happen and he fell out of grace with the public. What happens to the price of that cryptocurrency? Well, some people might buy it because you're always going to have your diehard fans, but the people that are in the moderate and they're kind of sitting on the edge, like, he's kind of cool, but I also don't know, then they might pull out. So I don't know. The tricky thing to run into is that if you have a cryptocurrency or some kind of investment following the reputation of an individual, it could be a great thing, because if you would have invested in, let's say, PewDiePie 10 years ago, you'd be doing great. If you would have invested in Mr. Beast 5 years ago, you'd be doing great. You know, there's other people that I'm not going to name because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or disgrace anybody, but there's people you could have invested in that you wouldn't have done so great. I think it's a fickle thing to invest in an individual. I think it's more of a good thing to invest in the underlying technology or the underlying product. And that's not to say there isn't a place for an individual to have investment behind him. Fino said, "Did Jebb fire everybody?" I have not fired anyone. I've never fired a single person in my entire career, actually. Title is Bullish Setup. My graph says bearish. Ain't it breaking right now? Yes, Edge Raceware. In fact, that's why I put that in the title, because I want people to realize, there's a lot of people in crypto that are going to see this ascending triangle pattern that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and they're going to say, wow, Bitcoin's in a bullish setup. It's going to it's going to rally. My concern for you is that it's not actually necessarily a bullish setup. I want people to see that and say, yeah, it's a bullish setup. I want to hear more. And then I'm going to let them know, yeah, it is a bullish setup, but it's a little bit more complex than that. So we're going to jump into the TA here in just a little bit. Read just a couple other chats. Let's see. Good morning, Jebb. I'm glad to catch you live this morning. Jebb, thank you very much, Crypto Evolutions. Let's see. Probably going to go ahead and jump on into some more things. Let's see. Shadrach Frost. Shout out to you, my friend. I don't know if I've given you a shout out yet. Said, smash the like button for this man. Show some respect for his work and devotion to the channel. Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. We're going to talk about the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee's setting of the effective federal funds rate here in the next couple of days, what that could do for Bitcoin, and then we're going to jump into some TA on your favorite coin, Bitcoin. But first, we're going to talk about the Federal Open Market Committee and what they may do in 2 days. If you guys do not know, in fact, bring my face back up for this one. Let me just give a little bit of an explainer, because there might be some people here. Drop a 1 in chat if you're one of these people. There's probably not too many people in chat that don't know this, but if there are, that's fine. We all got to learn sometime. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about Jerome Powell, the Fed, the EFFR, the FOMC, all these numbers, all these figures, all these initialisms and acronyms, let me explain very briefly. The market is driven by debt. You can thank Keynes for that. We live it, not just him, but you can thank human greed for that. Our society is driven by this concept of borrowing from the future to pay for the now and then worry about that later. To fund that, it takes interest. Whenever you borrow money, you have to pay that money back and interest, or else the person lending you the money has no incentive to lend you the money because they're just giving away their assets and making nothing in return. So an interest rate is always needed Not always. There are times not to charge interest. For example, two brothers in Christ should never charge interest to each other. That's in the Bible. But as far as in business dealings, typically, if you have a loan, you charge interest, and that's how the lender makes their money. Well, the amount of interest that's charged on that debt has a huge impact on whether or not people want to take out debt in the first place. People are much more likely to buy a home with 3.5% interest rate than a 20% interest rate. Anybody who's over 50 and tried to buy a home in the 60s or in the 70s or early 80s, you can remember the interest rate was super high, and you may have been paying $900 a month to the interest and maybe $50 a month to the actual principal when you purchased a home. And you were paying so much money into the interest payment. Well, the amount of interest that goes in, that is being charged, dictates the amount of money that people are willing to borrow. Well, the banks normally don't have all that money themselves. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. A lot of times when they get cash, they're getting it from the Federal Reserve. When the Federal Reserve is putting liquidity into the economy and issuing different ways of putting money into the economy. The Fed also has an interest rate that they use not so much to generate revenue, but to actually set how the economy is operating. That's called the effective federal funds rate. If the bank is charging 5%, the federal funds rate is probably 1 or 2%. The bank is able to profit the difference, and everybody's happy. The EFFR, the effective federal funds rate, essentially means that if you jump at 1%, every other interest rate in the country pretty much has to go up 1% so that those lenders can continue making the same amount of profit. So they have the ability to bump up or lower the amount of interest. It's almost like saying, hey, I have these jacks at the bottom of a skyscraper, and the skyscraper represents the interest rate that a bank is charging, and then the jacks at the bottom represent what the Fed is doing. They can move the whole building up or down or up or down or up or down, but the building itself is still the same height, but its total height relative to the ground goes up because the jacks move the building up or down. That's what the Fed is doing by changing the effective federal funds rate. And they have been moving it to the upside substantially over the last couple of months, over the last several months, actually, pretty much all year, ever since we had a massive amount of inflation come in due to all of the printing that happened during the beginning of the pandemic. They are now trying to get that inflation under control, and we also just saw GDP come back at 2.6%, meaning that the Fed thinks that they can probably raise rates even more aggressively to more aggressively get interest rates under control because the economy, at least nominally, seems to be doing well. I would argue it's not. I would argue we've been in a recession for 2.5 years. If you just look at basic inflation data and realize that GDP is a manipulated, skewed metric because it's measured against the dollar and it's going up, but it's actually going down because the dollar's losing value faster than the economy's growing. Nevertheless, I could go on that rabbit trail all day long. The fact of the matter is the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, the people that set the EFFR, are meeting tomorrow and the next day, and November the 2nd, we will be getting our answer for what the new effective federal funds rate is going to be. And CME Group over here is putting it at an 88.7% likelihood that we are going to see a 75 basis point rate hike, that being 0.75%. A basis point is 1/100th of a percent. A 75 basis point rate hike. Now, there are a few different charts that I can show you over here. For example, I can show you EFFR, the effective federal funds rate, over here, and you can see it's jumped substantially over just the last several months. Going back to March, it was sitting at near zero. It was effectively, no pun intended, zero. Then they jumped it 25 basis points. Let's turn log off. That's a little confusing. They jumped it 25 basis points. Then they dropped it here. Then they jumped it here 50 basis points, and then they ramped all the way up to 75 basis points at a time, and they've done 3 75 basis point hikes here in a row. So there's a 25, there was a 50, there was a 75, there was another 75, and there's another 75. All of these you could put a point before because these are percentages that we're measuring as far as on the interest. And then we're expecting with a very high likelihood that we're going to see another 75 basis point rate hike up here relatively soon, and that'll jump us up to 3.75 to 4%. It's always a range of 0.25%, but essentially we're going to see another 75 basis point rate hike very soon. What that normally does is that increases what's known as the cost of money, because whenever you're borrowing money, well, you got to pay that money back. And Argo Blockchain might be a good person to tell you about that because they've got an investor that fell through, and then you've also got Core Scientific over here that could probably tell you a lot about that because they're about to go insolvent. And then you also have the company that we mentioned also, Compute North, that owed $500 million to 200 creditors and couldn't pay it back. Point being, the cost of money is a very important thing, and as you can tell, I mean, these companies, for example, they owed $500 million. If they had owed 1% interest on that, then it would have been a lot cheaper. than if they owe 10%. So the interest rate is actually extremely important, and it all goes back to what the Federal Reserve is doing with the EFFR. So if they continue to raise interest rates, well, you're going to start to see this tightening and this squeezing on Main Street as well as on Wall Street. And when the stock market's already in a massive drop, that's going to be very difficult for companies around the world, especially ones that are trying to expand right now, because it's harder for them to go and find new financing and capital that they can sustainably take on. So if the effective federal funds rate does go up 75 basis points, number one, it will make things quite a bit more difficult for businesses to expand. But two, it will also drive a lot of FUD. Quite frankly, there's a lot of people that just see the EFFR go up, the effective federal funds rate go up, and then they get scared and they hold on tight and they hold on to their dollars because they think, oh, well, the rate is going up, which means inflation is going to come down, which means I am more secure in the dollar. And that also ends up driving the Dixie up. So that's another factor here, is that the Dixie, which is known as the US dollar currency index, tracks the strength of the US dollar against a basket of other national currencies. And you can see the Dixie has been doing exceptionally well. By the way, this is 40 years of price action here. This is 1981 right back here. The Dixie is sitting at its strongest level right now in 20 years. The Dixie has not been sitting at 111 in 20 years, ever since the first half of 2002, when we started losing strength compared to other currencies and other currencies started taking us over. The U.S. dollar has been doing exceptionally well insofar as its strength compared to other currencies. Now, it's been obviously getting inflated, losing strength, but compared to other currencies, it's been doing exceptionally well. And that doesn't leave a lot of room for Bitcoin, because if you look at Bitcoin, its history, and by the way, just take a look at the history at the comparison here. Let me pull Dixie up right over here so that I can switch between them quickly. And by the way, if you guys don't know on TradingView, this watch list over here, you can put different charts here and you can compare them. So let's just compare Bitcoin and Dixie. You can see how much time we're talking about here. This is a massive, massive chart. This is the entire history of Bitcoin going back to 2014. If you look here, and just zooming in, whenever you look at what the dollar is doing, when the dollar is doing very well, Bitcoin is not. You see? See that? This is the same chart. This is the same time frame. See how the time frame's not moving down here? These two charts might as well be overlaid on top of each other. In fact, I can do that with wherever I put it. It moved around here somewhere. Anyway, there's a compare tool around here. Isn't it right here? I thought it was in here. Anyway, regardless, the point is, whenever you see the Dixie doing well, the dollar, whenever you see the dollar doing well, Bitcoin doesn't. And that's the tricky thing, is that moving into tomorrow and the next day, you're going to see a 75 basis point rate hike, which is going to strengthen the dollar, which is going to weaken the Bitcoin market, because people are more likely to stay in the dollar than in Bitcoin. By the way, just remember, you've got massive funds here that are moving money around all the time, saying, okay, this month is the Dixie better, or excuse me, I'm sorry, is the dollar better? This month is Bitcoin better, and they're pivoting and they're moving. And if they're thinking, okay, this is a good month to be in Bitcoin, then they're going to move into Bitcoin. If they think, okay, this is a good 6-month period to be in the dollar, they're going to move into the dollar. If this is a good 6-month period to be in British pound, then we're going to move it into British pound, do it on the Forex market. These funds have huge amounts of money, and they have a big impact on Bitcoin, and just a small movement from them can trigger the retail to move as well, and the whales to move as well, and you end up seeing a massive cascading event in the market. So that takes us on to Bitcoin. The setup in this stream title is talking about, is there a big bullish setup on Bitcoin right now? Well, the tricky thing is that theoretically and technically, yes, there is. Bitcoin broke bullish above a strong downtrending level of resistance right here, which in theory should drive a strong market. The thing was, it didn't have any fundamental or technical reason to do that. It didn't have the backing to really go through with that movement. But then Bitcoin managed to set equivalent highs and higher lows. You can see there's an uptrend right here and a flat level of resistance right here, forming this into an ascending triangle pattern. Well, again, in theory, this should be very good for Bitcoin. If we just draw our price target right here, then you'll be able to see that we should be looking at the market moving up to $22,200. If Bitcoin did move up to $22,200, that's all fine and dandy, but it would still be lower than this local high over here, and that's even under the assumption that Bitcoin's able to get another breath of fresh air and strength to move to the upside in a major way, when, remember, right around, I believe that comes out at 8:30. I forget when exactly. But remember, here on Wednesday, let's just say right here, we're going to have the FOMC come out with 75 basis points, which we know to be a bearish event. And you expect Bitcoin to break to the upside while it's going through one of its biggest bearish cycles that it experiences. every 45 days or so whenever the FOMC meets, because, I mean, you can see up here, they meet pretty much every 45 days. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So if you're a bull right now in Bitcoin, I'm talking short term, I don't mean long term. I'm always bullish on Bitcoin in the long term. But if you're a bull on Bitcoin in the next 7 days, why? I'd really like to know why. Now, we do have some setups. And like I said, we're going to look at some indicators here. There are some reasons to be bullish potentially. For example, over on Lux Algo, you can see that there was, anyway, a strong buy signal that we were under right here, but we didn't manage to break to the upside. We set equivalent highs. Then we saw a sell signal right here that got confirmed. And by the way, Lux Algo absolutely nailed it right here. You can see the market dropped substantially. We saw this strong buy signal, but nothing came of it because the market had not seen green trend catcher. And then it dropped again down here into the take profit. Bitcoin is sitting right down here in the take profit. And by the way, there's a lot more to Lux Algo, just so that you know, so that we can see where it is. For example, we also have the EQ cloud here. We've got the reversal zones here. Let's just turn those on and see what they're saying. They're going to say, if I can imagine what it's going to say, we're probably going to be very deep in here. Yeah, see, look at this. You wouldn't have gone into a bullish setup right here with this strong buy signal because trend catcher had not turned green. And also the EQ cloud right here was literally on the verge of turning bearish like that. So you can see that we had the sell signal. We had the trend catcher turn red. We saw the EQ cloud also converging bearish on itself. And if I were to bring up Lux Oscillator down here, then I can almost guarantee you that it would be looking bearish as well. Yeah, for example, you see down here, we've been moving to the downside a lot. That just, it did not give us a lot of support and strength that this strong sell signal, this strong buy signal was going to lead where we wanted Bitcoin to go, which would be up. Instead, we had a lot of confidence and assurance that Bitcoin was going to move to the downside. And right now you can even see it's pushing quite far down here into the reversal zones. What I will say is that one of the things that happens with reversal zones is that a lot of times after you dig into the reversal zone and then you come out of the reversal zone a little bit right here, a lot of times that's a signal that you're going to turn around. You can see right here, we broke into the reversal zone, but then we fell out of it and we weren't able to keep up with the reversal zone, and then that's when we had a major capitulation. You see that happen all the time on Lux Algo's reversal zones. For example, you break up into the reversal zone, you fall out of the reversal zone, and then that's when you lose your momentum because, well, it essentially tells you that you're losing momentum. It makes sense, right? So as far as the short-term technicals on Lux Algo are concerned, if we see this market continue pushing to the downside, then you could see this take profit zone drop even lower. Reversal zones are continuing to drop lower, and the market could just fall right back down to $20,000 and lose all of its exuberance and break below this uptrending level of support. There's a chance that Bitcoin could turn around and bounce back up here to this flat level of resistance, but that doesn't really mean anything because, funnily enough, take a look at what Lux Algo is showing here on the stop loss for this short. The beginning of the stop loss territory for the short position that it told you to enter, which, by the way, is probably too late to enter this short position now because you've already played out most of it. But the take profit, if you did enter that short position, was right here on that exact level that we drew. So Lux Algo is absolutely nailing it right now. If you guys don't have Lux Algo, make sure to get it. Links in the description box down below. As far as the short to medium term outlook on the market is concerned, though, guys, there's a chance that Bitcoin could break to the upside, but a lot of the force that's been pushing Bitcoin up has been short liquidations. It's been a short squeeze. Well, when the market moves to the upside on nothing other than a short squeeze, oftentimes you know what comes next? You get a long squeeze. You get people going long because they think, yes, market's moving to the upside, and they jump into a 10x leverage trade long, expecting the market to jump, and then it doesn't. And then what happens? They get liquidated, and then you Bart Simpson. For example, what we see happen a lot of times is that you see the short squeeze jump Bitcoin rapidly, makes it move very, very quickly. But then you get a bunch of people up here longing the market, not because there was a fundamental or technical shift that led to a major trend reversal, but because they saw big green candles. So they go into longs up here, and then they get liquidated, and then the market Bart Simpsons and just goes straight back down. If you don't know why it's called Bart Simpson, it looks kind of like this, where the market does that, and then it just crashes. It goes up, it's got the hair right there, and then boom, it just goes straight back down. People call it Bart Simpson because it looks like his hair. That's what happens a lot, especially, by the way, in low volatile markets. If we look back into 2018, there was a ton of it. There was very low volatility going on in 2018, and we saw so many of these. We saw so many Bart Simpson patterns. We saw an inverse one right here. Boom, long squeeze. Boom, short squeeze. You see, that was the inverse. Over here, boom, long squeeze. Boom, short squeeze. That's what happened. Same thing here. Long squeeze, short squeeze. We saw a gigantic long squeeze right here. So just remember, guys, the leverage trading in cryptocurrency makes a huge impact on the market. And it's never as simple as, oh, it's going up, so it must continue going up. No, there's trends that you need to pay attention to, but you need to understand that there's also fundamental and technical factors at play as well. And right now, especially with the way the global economy is running, there are geopolitical factors as well. There's always the question of what's going on in Ukraine. There's always the question of what's going on in Europe. What's going on with the ECB, the European Central Bank? What's going on with the energy issues that Europe is likely going to run into this winter? All of these things have an impact on Bitcoin. They're all pulling it in one way or another. Some of them aren't as correlated as others, but they're always at play. They're always at play. And then also, guys, let's go ahead and move into this piece of news now. There's also what's going on in the mining industry. So last week we reported that Core Scientific, which was and currently I suppose still is the world's largest single individual corporate miner of Bitcoin, basically said, hey, look, we're going to go bankrupt in like a month. We're going to be insolvent in like a month unless something changes. That sent their share price tumbling 75% in a day. Well, Bitcoin miner Argo's $27 million fundraiser fell through and their shares plummeted as well. I even have their share price over here. You can see their market cap only sitting at $47 million. And that's not very good considering the fact that it was $1 billion back here a year ago. At the all-time high for Bitcoin, Argo blockchain was sitting at $18.96 just a couple of months after IPOing at $16.60. Is now sitting at $1 and is down dramatically. Even just looking at the last 5 days, you can see that it jumped off a cliff on Friday after this news came out. As far as not on Friday, but this morning when it opened, well, an hour and 15 minutes ago, it dropped substantially, being cut in half. On Friday, it closed at $1.97. It's sitting at $1.02 right now because of this news. So let's just break this down. Argo Blockchains, ARB, said a deal to raise 24 million British pounds, $27 million, from a strategic investor has fallen through, sending the Bitcoin mining company's shares tumbling as much as 72%. That would be on the wick. The London-based firm, which earlier this month signed a letter of intent to sell 87 million shares to the investor as it looked to ease liquidity pressures, didn't say why the agreement had been called off, is working to secure other deals to provide working capital for the next 12 months. This is the statement that really scares everybody who was invested. Should Argo be unsuccessful in completing any further financing, Argo would become cash flow negative in the near term and would need to curtail or cease operations, is said in a statement to the London Stock Exchange. Essentially, if they're not able to raise more money, they're going to become insolvent. Again, this is coming after what we saw with Core Scientific, where a year ago it was trading at $14, now it's trading at 23 cents. These miners are getting absolutely annihilated. The Bitcoin miner is at a critical moment as it battles soaring energy prices coupled with the stagnating values of cryptocurrency. And I don't envy miners right now. They are in a tough spot because energy prices are a lot higher and crypto is a lot lower. That will force the industry to change a lot. Last week, Core Scientific warned investors that it may have to consider bankruptcy, while in September, crypto mining data center Compute North filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy after it emerged that it owed $500 million to at least 200 creditors. Argo's shares fell as low as 4.25 pence and were reportedly trading about 7 pence. They have lost some 92% this year. In an attempt to secure short-term liquidity, Argo sold 3,843 Antminer S19J Pros for $5.6 million. It had previously intended to sell 3,400 miners for $7 million. So this is what I was talking about with Core Scientific. These different companies are selling miners on miners on miners, and they're selling it on a discount. So anybody out there that's a miner and that wants to try and weather this storm of, yes, high energy prices, low Bitcoin values, then you have an opportunity to try and buy some of these miners if you're able to get them. I mean, they're selling 4,000 amp miners. That's a lot of miners. And those miners going out onto the open market at a heavy discount could actually lead to a lot of upstart miners coming into the game that beforehand didn't have the scale to be able to compete with these massive publicly traded companies. But because they're buying miners on a 40% discount, because these miners are going bankrupt, then they might actually be able to be cash flow positive and make a profit here. The thing that I would like for you to keep in mind with this is that Argo, Core Scientific, Compute North, this represents a trend that we've been warning you about on this channel for a long time. And that is that miners are selling shares in their company to raise capital to expand when they're cash flow negative and when they're not making enough money to meet their energy costs and their facility costs, their other costs, and they're not able to pay people back. And now that the bear market has been lasting so long, a lot of them are starting to go insolvent. It's a massive shakeup for the industry in the mining world, but it actually serves as a moment of refreshment for the cryptocurrency space, because the miners that do go offline, well, those miners are going to be able to be redistributed and reallocated in a more profitable way. At least that would be the dream. So let's go ahead and read chat here for a little bit, and then we're going to keep on trucking here. We got another 12 minutes or so during the stream. We got 1,000 people watching today. So guys, basically the TLDR of this show is that Bitcoin looks like on your chart to be in a bullish setup. A lot of people right now are talking about Bitcoin's in an ascending triangle pattern, could break up to $22,000. Is this the beginning of a massive rally? Maybe. I'd pump the brakes on that considering what we're going to see take place over just the next 48 hours with the 75 basis point rate hike coming in. Now, by the way, if for some reason they come out with 50 basis points, which I think is essentially a non-factor right now, but if for some reason they did come out with a 50 basis point rate hike, you could see Bitcoin jump several $1,000s the day that news comes out. I don't think that's going to happen yet. I think we're going to see that plateau moving on into quarter one, quarter two of next year. But otherwise, if it does come out 75 basis points, I think it'd be difficult to see Bitcoin going through a massive rally. Now, if it does, and if I'm wrong about that, then that actually speaks to some very strong, a lot of strength in Bitcoin. If for some reason Bitcoin does break to the upside above $21,000, goes up to 22, 23, if it starts breaking resistance up there, and after a 75 basis point rate hike, and you see miners going insolvent and bankrupt, that could signal, okay, wait a second, maybe our bearish theory is wrong, because maybe Bitcoin actually has bottomed. Maybe Bitcoin actually has finally hit bedrock, as Queen likes to quote me on. Maybe it has actually found that solid foundation that it needs. Maybe the altcoins are going to do well enough. Maybe Binance coin is going to do well enough. Maybe Ethereum rallying is going to keep it moving. Maybe the altcoins kick off a bull market and Bitcoin follows them. That'd be new, but it's possible. That is a likelihood. I don't know if it's a very big likelihood, but it is possible. It is possible. Let's go ahead and read chat. I don't think I'm missing any super chats, but if I am, then go ahead and let me know. Solar energy is extremely important. Absolutely it is. Jeff, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I hope Jeff's doing well also. You went trick-or-treating. I thought you were Christian. Well, we're very careful with Halloween because there's a lot of things about Halloween that I don't necessarily agree with. But as far as dressing up in a onesie, like, and getting candy, I mean, we actually had a long conversation about all of that and trying to figure out where we stand on things. And ultimately, I don't think going around with a bucket and picking up candy hurt anything. We were at a church, it was a lot of believers there, so don't think we did. Don't have a really strong, firm stance on that, but we do want to be careful. Debt is the problem with everything, including college. College is more expensive now because student loans are very easy to get. Yeah, it is, and you get a lot of people defaulting on them. Yeah, first time getting the vid, it's no joke. Sorry, Freedom Advocate. I'm sorry to hear you're sick. Robert Casanova said 837 watching, not nearly enough likes. I agree, and now we got 1,000 watching, and we've only got 367 likes. Let's go ahead and smash those likes. Queen said 75 basis points baked in. Potentially, it's possible. I don't know though. Flare staking also in chat. Shannon Sharp also in chat. Shout out to Shannon Sharp. Thank you for keeping the chat in check. Also, Crypto Vet in chat. Hit the plus next to the ticker. I knew that. I feel like a dummy. Like, I've been using TradingView pretty much every single day for over half a decade now, and I still forget where things are. So if you forget where things are, just realize, I do this for a living, and I still make dumbs. Like, that was silly of me to forget where that was. But anyway, what he's talking about here is that you've got the now the Dixie's not going to want to show up very well here just because of the way it all works, but yeah, same percentage scale. That's what I need. No, not same percentage scale. Hang on. Let's turn that off. New price scale. That's what I was looking for. So see how the Dixie, this is what I was talking about earlier. Thank you very much. I already done forgot who told me that, but thank you to whoever told me that. You see the Dixie's doing well on the compare, and Bitcoin is not. Whenever the US dollar is strong, Bitcoin has trouble. You can see the US dollar was very weak over here. Bitcoin was not. Bitcoin was very strong during that time. There's a very strong correlation. Whenever the Dixie was moving sideways, so was Bitcoin. Bitcoin ultimately, and we know this, is a hedge against the US dollar. That's its major value prop. You can see the Dixie was losing strength back over here. Bitcoin was gaining strength. It's just the way it goes. It's something to keep in mind that the Dixie is a hugely important part of the Bitcoin market, and the effective federal funds rate is a hugely important part of the Dixie. And essentially, I would argue the main way the effective federal funds rate impacts Bitcoin is through impacting the Dixie. That's what I'd say on that, actually. All right. That was CryptoVet. Thank you, CryptoVet, for showing me that. EU just increased 75 basis points. Did they? The European Central Bank funds rate today. Did that come out today? Let's see here. It's November 2nd as it's coming out, I thought. Yeah, I thought that they were going to come out on November 2nd. So, yeah, ECB, looks like they come out November 2nd, yeah. Yeah, they had left rates at zero for many, many years. I mean, they didn't even update it for a long time. But, yeah, it looks like they're going to be coming out with that. Next ECB fund rate. Let's see when that comes out. Here we go. 11:30, 11:04. I'm looking at some numbers over here. I'll show you what I'm looking at. The European Central Bank raised its key rates 75 basis points during its October meeting. Yeah, we talked about that. The refinancing rate now stands at 2%. The deposit facility at 1.5. The marginal lending at 2.25. Yeah, you can see they're raising rates for the same purpose. The U.S. dollar, excuse me, the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee of the Federal Reserve, started raising rates a lot sooner than a lot of other countries did. So actually, the U.S. dollar is ahead of a lot of countries in getting its inflation under control, but it's still having a huge impact regardless. But that means that hopefully we're going to have the EFFR plateau sooner than later, and the dollar would stay ahead of the rest of the world, but that Bitcoin would be able to stay even ahead of the dollar. That would be the dream. So let's read some chat here for the last 5 minutes. Grammy Carlton said, got my pre-send NFT. Good for you, my friend. If you guys don't know what he's talking about or what she's talking about, I'm not sure. Pre-send is one of the sponsors of this channel, and they have a really great product that helps you to not run into the issue of sending cryptocurrency to the wrong wallet. Definitely check them out. Definitely check them out. And by the way, someone else that you should check out would be none other than a very, very, very important individual that you need in cryptocurrency, and his name is Anthony Price. If you guys are not familiar with Anthony Price is our cryptocurrency CPA, and he helps to make sure that you pay as little as possible in cryptocurrency taxes. Guys, tax season is coming up in the first quarter of this coming year, and if you do not make sure that you have all of your taxes in order, you're going to run into one of two problems. Either one, you're going to end up overpaying in taxes and putting more money into the IRS's pockets than they need, or you want to give up because you overpaid in taxes by not utilizing some of the strategies that Anthony Price can help you to implement. Or, and this is another one that a lot of people in crypto run into, on the flip side, you might end up underpaying on taxes, underreporting something, and then the IRS will be very upset with you because you didn't pay them the money that they actually were deserved, and then you could have the IRS come knocking, and you don't want either one of those things. You don't want to give them too much money. You want to make sure you're giving them as little money as you possibly can legally. Keyword there is legally, obviously. We don't promote anything illegal. But you also want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row so that you don't run into an issue with the way that your cryptocurrency taxes were reported. So that's what Anthony Price is going to help you to do. He says even right here, we'll handle all the accounting and help you reduce taxes and pass along generational wealth. And it's not just setting it up it's not just setting up the form so that it goes on your tax return. Anthony Price is going to help you with other things also, like business tax planning and accounting, family trust planning, cryptocurrency tax advising and accounting. These are different services that help you to build your financial sovereignty. It's an absolute no-brainer to go ahead and go with a CPA and to use Anthony Price because he's absolutely great at what he does. So make sure to check him out. Link in the description box down below. Michael C. donated $2, said, will Bitcoin fall if miners are dissolving? It might a little bit. The miners are not, it's not the end of the world if all of the miners go offline for a little while and then those miners have to be reallocated. Bitcoin is a very robust network, and if Bitcoin does go offline for a little while, Bitcoin won't go offline. If some of the miners go offline for a little while, then it's not going to be that big of a deal. It could have a small impact on the price. I mean, just to give you perspective, we saw 50% of the miners go offline last year when China banned Bitcoin mining. 50%, half of the mining and the hash rate was going on in China. All those miners went all around the world. A lot of them are back online now. Hash rate's at an all-time high. But it did have an impact on the price. And Bitcoin did follow that pretty closely. So something to keep in mind. If we lose 10% of hash rate because some of these core miners, like Core Scientific, go offline, yeah, that's going to be tricky. By the way, real quick, I also want to mention another sponsor of our channel that are really great, and they are none other than BitGet. Guys, one of the things I love about BitGet, check this out. You go to bitget.com actually just bitget.com. Come over here to copy trading. Go copy trading. Boom. Check this out. You got different traders over here with hundreds of people following them that are making tons and tons of money, and their copiers are making tens of thousands of dollars by copying their trading. If you guys want to make some profit from traders without actually having to spend thousands of hours learning how to trade and spending hours and hours and hours every single day watching your trades, then you can come over here to bitget.com/copy trading and check out some of these different traders. Get signed up today, and you can actually follow them and make some money right alongside them as they are profiting. That's not the only thing, though, of course, guys. This is a full-featured exchange. You have USDT futures, USDC futures. You have your coin futures, obviously. You have spot trading. You also have your different markets over here. For example, you can see the different cryptocurrency markets right here and track all of their prices and their changes. And you can also buy cryptocurrency right here. You can do a crypto deposit, but you can also buy crypto with one click. Trading has never been easier. So make sure to check out BitGet with the link in the description box down below. Let's go ahead and read chat here for a couple more minutes before we wrap it out. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. Simon says, morning, Jebb. Thanks for your time. Thoughts on ADA? Love ADA. Think it's a great project. And I think that it's going to do a lot of great things in the future. It's got some of the best technology in the cryptocurrency space for layer 1 protocols, which is what it is. I think it, to be honest with you, might have better technology than Ethereum. And that's a big statement, but I honestly think it's true. And if that is the case, then that essentially means that the only thing stopping it from taking over Ethereum in a lot of places is the fact that Ethereum already has first mover advantage. So I'm a big fan of Cardano. Let's see. Let's see. We're going to read a couple more chats, then we're going to wrap it out here. Crypto Sarah is in chat. Shout out to her. Let's see. What else? BTC will reach 300 to 400K sometimes late 2025. That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Good deal. The thermal generators could easily power the rigs with the rig's own heat. That's an interesting idea. I don't know if that's been explained, if that's been explored too much, but yeah, that's a good idea. Obviously, you're not going to get free energy out of that, but you could siphon some of it back in the same way that's a similar mechanism to what happens in regenerative braking in cars. I was riding in a Porsche about a year ago, and the Porsche started braking, and I could feel the regenerative braking because it's a hybrid. I was like, whoa, that is so cool. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed today's stream, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to tune in 5 days a week where we go live here on Coffee and Crypto to bring you the latest Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technical on-chain and fundamental analysis, making sure that you stay up to date, everything in these markets, so that I can help you achieve what I call financial sovereignty, which is where you control your finances rather than your finances controlling you. Ultimately, that's what our finances are supposed to be. They're supposed to be servants to us, not servants to our money. Have a blessed day, guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in. And guys, before we go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.